it was a real derby dogfight at Thomond. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. This game's certainly not a classic by any stretch of the imagination. There was some quality in the game, but there were a lot of kind of stop-start parts of it as well. And yeah, it's not one where fans are going to be rushing to, rewatch the game in full in the future at any point, I don't think. But still, as I said, moments of quality, and we'll try and touch on as many of those as we can. So we start off with not really a moment of quality from Connacht. You have a mix-up as Tracy passes the ball over the head of Harry West near their own line. Munster pour forward. Almost results in a try to Munster, but after a TMO review, it's actually a penalty to Connacht. I think it was Daly landing on West allowed the ball to come back on the Munster side. Munster then with another attack, and Connacht holding them out. But they're beginning to look stretched in defence as Munster kind of probing, especially out wide. Then finally Munster do get over. Nankivell with 3 or 4 involvements in the move that leads to the score. First down the left, he puts somebody in the gap. They make some progress there. Then they switch it back right, and Jack O'Donoghue goes over out wide. Conversion missed, 5 points to 0. Connacht then find some momentum and they respond. Ioane through a gap, he offloads to Ralston, who goes over to score. Conversion missed, 5 points all. Munster then offside from a kick, and Connacht kick to the corner. They go to the maul, but Munster managed to halt it. Even like 3 or 4 backs have piled in, but still Munster are able to stop them. Connacht then move it to do well to keep hold of the ball, given that they don't have too many players not involved in that maul. And then eventually they managed to work it up to the line. They force a penalty. Strong carries from Josh Murphy and Sam Elo, and they managed to suck in that Munster defence, go to the backs, and then Ioane with a long looping pass out to Ralston, who goes over unchallenged out wide. Conversion missed, 10 points to 5. Munster then on the attack again, but Jack O'Donoghue gets pinged for a crock roll penalty to Connacht. Then Connacht now there on the attack, ran about halfway, but Kilgannon, lovely read from him on Ioane's pass, picks it off, and he goes over for a try. Convert for 12 points to 10. Munster now back in front. Connacht then on the attack into 22 as he approached the break, but good defence forces a knock on. Munster then win a penalty at the subsequent scrum, and they're able to exit, and you're thinking, okay, Munster are going to have a narrow lead going into the break, but it's going to be a lead. But there's still time for Connacht to go to the corner for a penalty. They go off the top, and they're picking driving at the line. We then have a TMO check with a clock in the red, and this one, it's going to be a little bit controversial, I think. So for me, it's not clear that Sean Jansen has grounded for a try. Looking at the replays that they showed with the TMO, I cannot see that he's grounded that ball definitely on or over the line for a try. But referee Andre Piardi says to the TMO, who is Matteo Liparini, he says, I know the ball is over the line. I just want you to tell me whether it was grounded or not, because he basically has held up. So he thinks it's held up in goal, and then obviously it's going to be a dropout to Munster, yeah, if that's the case. But he tells the TMO it's definitely over the line, and the TMO was kind of hesitating because he says, I can see the ball grounded, but I can't see that it's grounded over the line, which is what I was saying. But now he says, I have a grounding, and then the try is awarded because Piardi is convinced that the ball is definitely over the line. So try is given, and it's one of those ones where, maybe if you had like a million cameras, there's a camera angle that would show that he has definitely grounded the ball over the line. But I'm just not convinced. And it's not that I'm taking sides in this, like I'm wearing a bloody Connacht shirt, but like this this is honestly one of the Irish derbies where it's hard for me to pick who I want to win. So it's one of those, it's this weird one, because normally as a Leinster fan, you would almost be cheering for both teams to lose. But again, I guess I'm a bit of a weird rugby fan, because I'm pretty much all the time hoping that all the Irish provinces win all the time. So somehow for both teams to win the game. So it's kind of weird. But again, I have to be honest and say, from what I saw, I'm not sure that was a try, but from the communication between the referee and the TMO, a try has to be awarded, because you have the referee saying ball is definitely over the line, and the TMO saying I definitely have a grounding, so therefore you award the try. There's nothing else you can do. And I heard it was interesting. I watched the game on URC TV. So during the halftime, they don't show analysis or anything like that, but you do get a feed of the in-game commentary team talking to each other, and they were chatting to each other during the halftime break, and they were saying basically, yeah, I don't think that's a try. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. But conversion gets missed then, 15-12 halftime Connacht lead. In the second half then, we have a stoppage just after the break. Ralston gets treated on the field before going off on a cart. Looked like maybe he fell awkwardly or something. Couldn't see anything in terms of like why he would get injured, but that's the weird thing, right, with injuries like that, is it can often be something just completely innocuous, and then you're out for a really long time. So wish him a speedy recovery. We then looking to restart from a scrum, but then the scrum collapses, and we have further treatment for Duggan, the Connacht prop, for another few minutes, because he got injured as the scrum collapsed. But thankfully he was able to continue. Munster then, we finally get back underway. They begin to probe, trying to stretch the Connacht defence, but Connacht doing well, slowing the ball down and keeping their line intact. Munster then working into 22. They're about 5 metres out, and Hanrahan then tries a cross kick, but gets charged down, and that allows Connacht to run the ball clear. And I don't think his forward pack were too happy with him there, because there was no penalty advantage or anything. Munster then they come again into 22, but Connacht at this point and for much of the second half, they're doing what Munster did to Leinster in the last round, just completely frustrated them with the defence, and shutting down their attack, slowing down the ball, that kind of stuff. And Connacht then get a penalty for something that Dan Kelly said to the referee. Don't know what he said, but obviously it wasn't good. And the referee had already told both captains, listen, there's too much chat from players, telling me, give this, give that. And so they already warned him. So penalty definitely was coming. And then Connacht clear from the penalty. Then back Munster come, and this time they're carrying close to the ruck, and Ronan Fox on from the bench has a couple of really good carries. Nankerville is in there as well. And those big carries, other forwards as well, get them up to close to the line before then O'Donoghue forces his way over, and he's got Fox on the latch as well. Conversion missed, 17 points to 15. Munster just about edging into the lead as the clock is winding down. Munster then, they decide, right, we got 3 tries now. There's a couple of minutes left. Let's go for that bonus point try. Kick a penalty, into the corner, 5 metres out. But Connacht then get over the ball, win a penalty. The clock now is ticking over into red. But now Connacht are thinking, well, we just need a score to win the game. And if they get a try to win the game, then they actually get a bonus point win. So now they're trying to run the ball from their own half, and the clock goes further into red. And then It ends with Munster managed to force a knock-on and end the game. 17-15 is the full-time score. So in terms of like the drama of the game, I thought, it was very good. And you're seeing like a lot of kind of, on both teams, a lot of players who haven't played that much for their respective provinces, coming into the game, especially off the bench, and having an impact on the result as well. So I think that's going to have a big impact for both teams, because they're both kind of, we're seeing now, luckily in the other provinces in Ireland, kind of, a bigger swell of younger players coming through. There was kind of a dirge of them for a while, a few seasons, but now we really are seeing a lot more coming through, and a lot more looking like, they can actually cut it at this level as well. But let's have a look at the stats, and then we'll come back and talk about each of the teams. So starting off, it was 3 tries each in the game. As I said, both teams that had got a try at the end would have clinched a win, but also been a bonus point for them as well. Possession then 57-43 for Munster. It's not quite as dominant as Leinster, but not far off, honestly. Offloads then 10-3. Munster looking to keep that ball alive, keep it going. Meters gained 465-184. And again, it was very similar to Leinster, where, Munster outside the 22 and even up to about 5 meters, they could make the meters, and then Connacht were for a lot of the time were out to say, okay, no further, and they'd be able to hold them out and frustrate them. Clean breaks then 12-2, defenders beaten 25-14. So, Munster beating more defenders, but crucially, like, it's almost a 1 and 2 conversion rate to clean breaks for them. And then you look at Connacht, 1 and 7. So that was their problem, really, was, I thought the defense was good, but they, even when you're defending that much, you still have to offer something coming the other way. And they weren't able to, especially in the second half, weren't able to do that. And then when they needed to do it right at the death, they just couldn't get it done. Then on to defence territory, 64-36. Number of tackles, 146-200. Missed tackles, 14-25. So 86-83. So Munster, decent defensive performance there, and then Connacht not too far away, honestly, with 83. Turnovers won then 4-3, and turnovers lost 7-5. And then a lot of the turnovers came close to line as well. Kicks in play, 33-31, and we had a period in the middle where, neither team, especially in that second half, wanted to take risks in terms of, like, losing the game. So we had periods of kick tennis where both were trying to probe the other, look for, force a mistake and get kind of easy field position there, and that kind of added to the number of the number of kicks that we saw in play. But then kicking success, neither team having a great night, like 33% for Munster, so one of the 3 conversions, and then 0% for Connacht, who missed all of their conversions. Kicking meters then, 889 from Munster is a big amount of kicking. Like, we're used to seeing in the URC, a lot of teams would kicking between maybe, like, at the very low end, maybe 250 meters up to maybe 600-700 meters. So 889 is a big number. But then you look at Connacht, 1,028. That's even more on their side. So Connacht really were trying to kick deep, and just trying to relieve pressure, because Munster were, like, in their faces a lot, in terms of just bringing the play to them. And when they could, they were just trying to, let's get the ball as far away from our own 22 as we can. Kicks retained then, 3 for Munster, 2 for Connacht. On to lineouts then. Lineouts won 15-13. and Munster lost 3, Connacht none. So 83% for Munster line-out. It's not brilliant, but it's certainly better than, the Munster line-out was kind of in the first 4 rounds of the competition. And then for Connacht, they had 100% on their line-out, 3 line-out steals as well. And for, a number of years now, Connacht have been the best defensive line-out in the URC. And then they had, at one stage had both Murray brothers on there, and those 2 guys just animals in terms of stealing lineouts. On to scrum then, 7 scrums to 6 won by Munster, 100% for both on their own feed, but Munster on their feed, they were the ones that were able to win those penalties at crucial times. Penalties conceded then, 8 each. Attacking penalties, 6 for Munster and 5 for Connacht. Defensive penalties, 2 for Munster, 3 for Connacht. And then scrum offences, 1 for Munster and 2 from Connacht. Okay, so let's chat about the teams. We start with Connacht. So one of the better performances seen from Connacht in an Irish derby. It's been a long time since it's actually beaten any one of the other Irish provinces. You can see that there's definitely progress being made under Lancaster, but again, it's not going to happen overnight. We've seen with Ulster where it took Richie Murphy pretty much the guts of 2 seasons, right? You kind of had half a season, then a full season last season, and then coming into this season, then finally we're seeing a real improvement, sustained improvement from Ulster. So Connacht, it's not going to be changed overnight, but certainly a decent battling performance from them. Definitely a lot of stuff to work on in terms of, first of all, ball retention and also playing in the right areas of the field as well. But they can be proud of the defensive effort that they put up in this and also taking the chances. On to Munster then. It was another one where it wasn't a great performance from Munster, but I said it earlier on in the season about them as well, is that, if you're a team that's winning games, the performance will come, and the performance came in, when they needed it against Leinster. And if you just keep on winning those games, the confidence, just goes through the entire squad, and then performances come on the back of that as well. And also it just gives you that belief that even when you're not playing well, you can dig something out and get a win. And I think that's something that this Munster team have over Leinster. Like I've talked about it for years now about Leinster, is that Leinster don't have that ability, especially with their first team, like the guys who are away with Ireland now. They don't have that ability when things are going wrong to be able to change it on the field, to dig in and dig out a result, because they're so rarely in that position. Whereas like Munster, winning these tight games becomes a habit, and it's not just Munster. We've seen it with, we saw it with last year as well with the Scarlets, where they were kind of far more competitive in games and sticky in games, and they were getting those extra few results. And it's not always going to be a win. It could be like just a losing bonus point, or getting like a 4th try in a game that you've lost or whatever. But them last year compared to the season before, they'd just gotten that ability to perform in tight games, and that ended up being enough to get them into the playoffs. And we're seeing something similar from Munster this year, except they're pulling out the wins, even when, like, you look back at the Edinburgh game where they got absolutely outplayed in every facet. Edinburgh, obviously, apart from discipline, because Edinburgh got 4 yellow cards, but they still managed to keep themselves in the game. And when they had those yellow card periods, they took their chances. We've seen plenty of teams, being handed chances in games whether it's like a yellow card or red card for the opposition and not being able to take advantage of it. But Munster have been able to do that consistently all the way through this year. And even if team performances aren't great, you still have individual performances that are good. Like today, we saw the likes of O'Donoghue. I thought Coombs was good as well. Nankivell was really good too. And so some decent performances in that team from them, and then again the other players just come along with that, and the fact that they're bringing in youth around it as well means that it's something that can really be built on and maybe sustained beyond this season. It doesn't have to be kind of an isolated thing, but for them, 5 from 5, you can't ask any more from them. They're right up there at the pointy end of the table. Probably for them, and I'd say as well for the Stormers, they don't want to go on a month's break because they're enjoying their rugby, they're winning games, and they just want more games to win. And it's going to be interesting to see whether this break disrupts them or not, whether they can come back after the break, go into kind of that whole kind of ping pong you have between URC and Champions Cup as well, and how they're going to perform in the Champions Cup, because I believe that the URC as a competition and the Champions Cup as well need a strong Munster, and we've seen them kind of almost falling into the knockout stages of the competition, not really kind of going in there with anybody talking about them, maybe like not even talking about them as dark horses potentially for semi-finals or to win the competition or wherever. So hopefully we're going to see a stronger Munster this year in that competition as well. But for now, brilliantly done in this game and for this set of games as well. But that's it for me. Let me know what you think down in the comments.